All right. Hey, everybody. This is Kurt Orzek from the Bad Penny blog.com. I'm starting to finally get that right. Like the first 30 or 40 of these I did not have the URL correct, which is pretty cool. So this is the latest installment of a series that I hope a lot of you have been checking out called On Tyranny. And just a brief idea of what it is if you haven't watched one of these yet. The sort of the main conceit of the conversations that I have with bands, and I've had even interviewed over 100 now. The main conceit is how fascism and authoritarianism impact artists, because I think we can go into this maybe. It surprises me how many artists and musicians I talk to who think like, well, that doesn't really affect me. But it's like, all right, tell me that next week, whatever. So it seems like you guys have been throughout the beginning, since the beginning of your career, aware of this threat. And um, and so I'm really honored to welcome Nixil to the conversation. And I think you're going to be a real great addition to the conversation. The other cool thing too is every time I've done one of these, it's been like I wouldn't say totally different, but there's always been some slightly different viewpoint or something. So I'm really excited to hear yours because you guys seem to be more um, attuned to the subject matter than some of the other bands that I've talked to. So thank you so much for being part of this. And
You having us?
yeah, so we have Aurora and Ash. Um, I, I I don't want to waste too much time in this because I want to dive into, kind of the meat of the story, but can you just tell me briefly when you guys started and how you formed the band? Because I think you were in other bands before, right? So you- just a quick synopsis, maybe like two or three sentences or something.
Uh, I mean, so we started in 2019,
Yep,
right?
right before the pandemic.
Okay. Yeah.
Our guitarist Shane and I were in a band prior and wanted to do music again, and we met Ash, who had just moved to the area a couple years ago, and we're talking about wanting to do a weird black metal project, and also like I mean, things weren't quite as acutely horrific or overtly horrific politically as as they are now at the time, but we all had a bent towards being loudly anti-fascist within the community of metal in particular music. And then we just happened upon other folks, our first drummer and then our who came to be our second guitar player, Alden, came along and the rest is history.
Cool. Cool. Yeah. It was pretty apparent from the materials I read that you guys really connected over a similar. Um, I hate to use the word politics anymore because it's just changed so much, but like a similar philosophy toward culture or to government, I suppose. But did you also bond pretty quickly over the type of music you wanted to play, like black metal, and I know you guys have gotten more experimental over the years, but were you pretty much eye to eye on that too?
I don't think so. No, I think that's what kind of makes us what we are. We've always been very eclectic as far as our interests,
Musically, yeah. Yeah.
musically. So, so I think I would say that every one of us brings something very different to the table as far as the music goes.
Uh,
And that's gotten more refined over time. But I think we started out as a very experimental band. It may not have come out as clearly in the first album, but that was the intent.
mhm, mhm.
Yeah.
Um, and do you have if I'm not mistaken, you have two full lengths and then the split EP, right? With
Mhm.
okay, cool. Um, so you know, this is probably a well, first of all, going on what you just said, that you're more expensive at the beginning. A lot of time, I don't know if I want to make this generalization or not. I was gonna say a lot of times bands start off with a certain sound and then they push the boundaries as they go along, but that's not always true. So I'm kind of curious, like, um, you know, it seems like black metal became more of your central focus is if that's not if that's correct. Oh, and what was it that kind of caused that narrowing? Was it because the world became so much more clear and less muddy about like what's going on? Was that part of it maybe?
Yeah, I would say that the our more black metal, our darker elements that are coming out now are a reaction um to a generalized hatred of what's happening in the world and are a way to express rage and discontent more than we have in the past.
Yeah.
Yeah, making more aggressive music has just made more sense, I think. And also, I feel like with the first album, a couple of us had never, I mean, we'd all been in metal bands before, but a couple of us had never played black metal per se. And as we kind of got more comfortable with, I mean, we'd listened to it, but not been in a specifically black metal band. So, it just kind of progressed in that direction as we became more proficient. But yeah, I would say agree with Ash for sure that, like, I mean, coming together, like we started in November of 2019 and then lockdown was in March of 2020. So like we basically were thrown into a cauldron of awful like everybody else, but it really fueled our, kind of disdain and frustration and galvanized our ideological stance, I think,
Yeah.
collectively.
You get tested pretty quickly. I mean, with COVID and then the Trump bullshit,
Yep, for sure.
because he's been around since you guys started. So, um, you mentioned how black metal is, kind of a stylistic um, approach to conveying like real deep hatred. But I also read in part of one of your descriptions that black metal also shows the limitations of existence, I think it was, and I was curious if you could elaborate on that.
Um, let's see. I think that we've kind of discussed this in the past. I think that starting from a musical historical standpoint, black metal has as its roots a rejection of limitation. Many other um, many other genres of music, and this is true of some subgenres of black metal, but many other genres of music have to stay focused and in the lane. They
Like
feel like
formulaic. Yeah.
they represent one formula. I would say
Yeah.
at the beginnings of punk rock, um, punk was a vehicle for change musically and experimentation, and that became limited. But I would say that the history of black metal is definitely rooted in punk rock and
In the sense of
in the sense of experimentation and like rejecting limitations, boundaries, rules that people impose on what a music needs to sound like
Sure.
in order to fall into that broader genre.
Yeah.
Um,
Hmm.
and if we're talking about existence itself, I think that for a couple of us, the point of making music and art in general is to break the limitations of what we perceive existence to be. Um, Obviously, until some of us transcend the causal boundaries of this stuff, we're still stuck with a certain amount of notes and certain types of instruments and things like that. But within those limitations that are obvious, we try to push where we can,
Uh-huh.
if that answers the question.
So to an extent, is it sort of like challenging the limitations of the human mind and creativity? Oh, wait.
Yes. Yeah.
Cool. Um, um, yeah, that's something I haven't heard before. But you're right. I didn't intentionally wear this cloak shirt because of the interview, but there, I think they put sort of like a more progressive blackened death metal spin on black metal, I think. And then I'm reluctant to ask you this question because I know it's like old pedestrian or just lame. But I mean, would you say that like maybe Deaf Heaven kind of helped change things so that you could be black metal and also something else? Don't answer it if you don't want
I,
to.
I'll answer.
Yeah,
What?
you can go for it. I'll,
I
yeah.
I think, oh man, that's such a can of worms. I
Yeah.
think a lot of people appreciate Death. I'm gonna be diplomatic. People appreciate Death Heaven because of their blending of genres and stuff, and there is certainly something to be said for that. I question their intentions, but
Mm,
I don't know those people, so I can't really speak to that. Uh, it, but I mean, I think maybe to draw on what Ash was saying, like you can say black metal and that sound like for a lot of people that just conjures whatever old mayhem or like first basic a basic sound, but for people who are actually interested in the genre, um there's so many different ways that manifests. There's so many different sounds and presentations and idea. Unfortunately, lots of like edgelordy bullshit, but also not. Um, and I think that that's really, I don't know, maybe Deaf Heaven's trying to push the boundaries that way. I don't know. Maybe they are.
If I were to start on Death Heaven and end it at the same time, I think what Death Heaven has done is create a form of accessibility
Mm.
yeah.
in black metal.
Mhm.
And I think that is counter to the spirit of black metal,
Mm, mm,
but
mm.
um, that's just my opinion. So,
Yeah,
Sonic
sonic
accessibility.
accessibility, yeah, yeah.
sure, sure. Yeah, I can totally see that. So, so turning to the topic of fascism, can each of you tell me, separately, like when you became fascinated with the topic of fascism, or was there a certain event that happened? Was it simply the 2016 election, or had you read certain books or had conversations with people in life where it really, you know, kind of dug deep into your philosophy as a human being?
Um, do you want me to start that, I
Sure, if you
guess?
want.
I have been an anarchist and anti-fascist since early high school.
Hmm.
Um, I remember reading in history class the horrors of what fascism is. Um, but not only that, my dad is an open fascist. Um, so
Yeah.
I grew up with that, uh, and got to see firsthand the hypocrisy and moronic fucking uh useless hatred involved in it. The ignorance, I don't know, every fucking pejorative word that can be used.
Nice.
So that catalyzed me toward away from my parents' political and religious views
Hmm.
toward what I saw as the answers to total freedom for all people if they would take it, you
Yeah.
know.
That's-
Um, so anarchism has been a part of my life for
Wow.
30 years,
hmm.
Time.
and anti-fascism as well.
Yeah.
Um, that's I have a long history of that work, living in collective spaces.
Hmm.
I don't know. That's my yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I would say I had a similar sort of I came out as queer when I was in high school, and that was like in the 90s, during the time where there was a lot of like my high school that I was at was the first gay straight alliance in my state, for example. I'm like, so I got
Yeah.
really interested in um social justice stuff from that bent. And then kind of went from there. I've been involved in really direct action social justice work, yeah, also since high school. And I think at that point I was really more oriented towards like finding support from my immediate communities. And then like later came to get like the understanding and the language to describe that within an anti-fascist context. At first, I think it was just about like we want to feel free and safe and able to move around and not be, at risk, whatever.
Yeah.
And yeah, understanding that in a larger context came a little bit later, and that also like I strongly identify as an anarchist as well.
Mm-hmm.
And things have just gotten worse, so
Yeah, yeah, it's true. I had the pleasure of interviewing In Decline for this series. I don't know if you're familiar with
that's
them.
Nice.
so rad.
That sounds
Yeah,
good.
yeah. They were not only were they willing and super cool, but then like um they put the interview up on like I think their website or somewhere. So it's like all my traffic comes from them, which is great.
Yay. That's
Yeah.
awesome.
Ash, I just want to just house cleaning note. Did your dad refer to himself as a fascist?
No, he would not decry that, but
Okay.
it was how do I put this? Extremely authoritarian,
Yeah.
would not like we had many discussions about um
Discussion.
discussions about like the role of a strictly conservative religious person following the rule of law as long as it falls within the harshest um conservative boundaries, right? And he openly racist, openly homophobic. Um
Yeah.
um so no, he never overtly said I am a fascist, but all of his expression and ideologies fall in line with that.
The reason I'm bringing it up is because there appears to be a trend among younger, I think predominantly men, I'm just predominantly boys, I think, who are open about the fact that they believe in fascism. I think it kind of goes hand in hand with like this like just shameless is too kind of a word for it, but like, yeah, I support Hitler and his policies and all stuff. It's like, so it's as scary as it is right now. I can't help but think when some of those kids get older, if they're proud of their fascism, where things might go. But you know, time will obviously tell as far as that goes. Um, I wanted to oh yeah, yeah. So this is the other thing I wanted to ask you about. I, uh, I I write for a lot of outlets, and I got asked to write an editorial for um, the longest running outlet that I write for now that I contribute to. It's I probably shouldn't out them, but it's a magazine, printed matter. It's been around since the late 70s. Really, really, really cool editor. Right? I've been writing for him for 20 years. And and oh shoot, where was I going with this? Oh yeah. So I started writing to yeah, I told he asked me what my editorial would be like, and I told him I kind of like to sum up this series I've been doing, right? And take little bits and pieces from what different artists have said about their views and their hopes and their fears and all that stuff. Um, but then I kind of get into this question that I've had for quite a while now, and I'm glad to be talking to you because I haven't really found anybody else that I feel comfortable asking, not comfortable asking it to, but who I believe would give me some sort of a substantial answer. Am I wrong? Or when we were growing up, 'cause I think we're the kind of the same age, maybe you guys are younger, probably about 10 years. I don't know. Am I wrong in remembering that it was like punk music that was anti-establishment and rebellious and not so much metal, which was more glamorous? And what the fuck is up with like the switching over? Because metal, I'm like waiting, like just any punk band want to stand up at some point and say something? Like that's the whole fucking genre, or it used to be.
Well,
Like
it should be the whole, yeah. That's where punk started. That's the spirit of punk.
Yeah.
I don't understand how it became an overtly conservative genre at this point. It flipped. It
it's so
flipped completely.
isn't it so weird? I mean, like
Yeah,
the example I used to my editor, I was like, because I wasn't sure if he was going to get it. I went with a few friends too, and I'm gonna have to say a lot of rosary prayers after this. But I went to a Slipknot show 18 months ago, and Knocked Loose opened up for them, and 17,000 people, whatever. And um, I, I I remember leaving the show with like the most salient takeaway that I had from that show was, okay, Knocked Loose had that captive audience, and they were on stage in their self-described hardcore band. If I'm not mistaken, they didn't say one fucking thing about anything. And in contrast, Slipknot, who ended the show, the last thing that Corey Taylor said, and he didn't talk a lot either, but he said, I can tell that we did a good job entertaining you guys tonight, but what I want to make sure you leave the show with more than anything else is to love one another and to um, love people who are in same-sex marriages and love people no matter how they choose to identify. And it was,
Slipknot said that?
hmm yeah.
Okay,
Um, and
great.
I was just like, what is happening? Like, why? Maybe
It's
not lose. And I probably, I don't know. I don't care about this stuff. They can write me hate mail and probably be good for my website. But they, it was just like, you got this opportunity, man. And not only that, but I'm sorry, I'm blabbing a little bit here. But I had a really great conversation with an MC, a rapper out of Dayton, Ohio, a few days ago, and we wound up talking about the fact that a lot of his peers, and I'm sure a lot of your peers too, um, are afraid to take stances because they don't want to be perceived as political or they don't want to like lose part of the audience. But as we were talking about that, I realized that's the fucking problem with the Democratic Party is that when you try to appease everybody and you try to stay away from what the media decides is a controversial subject, you wind up being a watered down piece of shit with no principles and no convictions. And who the fuck wants to be around that, right? So like, it just seems to me like when you're a new band, you want to be like the first stuff you want to be doing is putting out songs that say who you are, what you believe in, not this wishy-washy like, oh, everybody is welcome, to come check us out, Do you have any response? It was a little bit of a rant there, but do you have any response to that? Can you connect with what I'm saying?
I feel like every time, and we were just talking about this too as a band, like when we have gone to see punk bands recently, like, and we all have a punk background. Like went and saw TSOL, and Jack Grisham was just like talking shit about women on stage. Like, dude, what the fuck, man? Like
Yeah.
with Danzig, you would expect that from Danzig, but like these, punk icons who like shaped our minds when we were young, like talking about fuck the system, like whatever, like who are actually standing up for shit now are, I don't know, it's trash. Like it's so disheartening. And there's so many things that can be said about that. But yes, to your point, agree. And also, I think within black metal, particularly, the term apolitical is thrown around all the fucking time, and it is a dog whistle. Like it is not, I think it's fine, whatever. Be like it shows your privilege as you can be apolitical or like not care about what's going on. Um, which is a problem in and of itself, but now also people get away with saying and doing all kinds of gnarly shit under the guise of being apolitical, and it's not okay. It's not fucking okay. Like the end. But black metal, like people talk about how metal should not be a safe space or whatever, and like I have thoughts about that, but um it shouldn't be a fucking safe space for Nazis, dude. Like, like this is supposed, that's not the point. And the fact that that is people are willing to allow that into their musical creation and their like space and their communities, it's hateful and awful and disgusting. And I personally feel like it's anathema to the point of punk or metal or like any kind of genre or like message breaking creative outlet. You're just like eating the shit that is shoveled down to you, and fuck that.
There's a
I
real
I'm trying to
parallel, it
figure.
seems like.
Sorry.
Oh, sorry. There's a real parallel I see with comedy, where you had all these comedians saying like, "I'm getting censored," or like, "I'm not allowed to say that anymore." So what do they do instead? They say stuff that's so vile it wouldn't have been in Andrew Dice Clay's act in the '80s. Like, it's like it's yeah, no, maybe I'm wrong with that. But Ash, did you want to add anything to set this topic?
Um, from a semantic perspective, I don't think black metal should be safe, but I don't think when I say that, I don't mean safe as in providing a dangerous space for people to be. I think that anything that is going to break boundaries needs to be able to make people question their reality, and people questioning their reality will be uncomfortable. That's that's the only semantic
But
statement
like,
I would make.
what is more normative than white privilege and white supremacy and like that
Yeah,
in the space?
exactly.
Like that, you know what I mean? There's
Yeah,
nothing boundary breaking about being fucking Nazi.
definitely.
It, uh,
Yeah.
yeah,
No, yeah, you're absolutely right. Uh, except that now they no longer have to wear hoods, I guess.
right,
Mhm.
exactly, exactly.
Okay, so I want to talk a little bit. We got about a ton of time left, about 9 minutes. I want to ask you about your split EP with it's Drouth, right? Yeah.
Mhm.
Okay. They're in Portland. You're in Baltimore, and I wore my hat for be for Baltimore. I know that I know that that's a correct purchase because I asked the clerk and I said I want a Baltimore. Kidding. Um, but did you guys just? Sorry, I gotta inject some humor sometimes, and it's my tip jar is
That's
really
good.
low at this point. So, but I have to ask, like, did you decide to link up with Drouth for the split EP because you wanted to settle the long running feud between East and West Coast black metal, and you want to put an act like an end to it?
Yeah, that's
Do you want the honest answer of the yeah, we're squashing beef coastally. No, I used to be in a band in I used to live in Portland and I used to be in a band with the guitarist of Drouth. So we're long old friends
So
and we fall in line with our political or anti-political philosophy, however you want to put that. Um
yeah,
and their
and,
music fucking
and
rules.
their music is crazy and yeah, it's
yeah.
all yeah.
Try to interview them too.
But if we squash some beef in the meantime, that's pretty weird.
There we go. Did you flip a coin to see who got 3 songs versus 2 songs on the EP? You guys got three, they got two.
Just because our songs are shorter and we had them ready and they had two ready. That was it.
That's the boring answer. I was waiting for some sort of like a Harvey Dent from Batman reference.
We
Wait.
had a battle royale and fought to the death. So yeah.
Just
Um,
suffices to say one of them will never walk again.
well said. Uh, those shows you have coming up in May are they going to be playing with you at the show at those
Yeah,
shows?
the whole thing is us together.
Awesome. Oh, I wish I was up there for that. It's pretty sick. And something else I just wanted to mention was, you know, and we don't have time for a long answer, but how the hell did you manage to get Jay Robbins and Billy Anderson on this thing? Because they're like two of the best producers ever. Like,
Jay Robbins is a pal. I mean, he's from Baltimore. He's done all of our recordings. And he has been very gracious in work. I think we're the first black metal band he's ever worked with. But that's been kind of really awesome because I don't know, he has his style, but he also is like so willing to experiment in it. I think it has pushed us in ways that we might not have been pushed if we were just with like a standard metal dude. Billy Anderson, I don't know Billy.
Billy is based in Portland. I don't think he did Drough's other album, but we the all the bands around there go back with him. So it's pretty accessible to them and he was a great great pick for producing that or for recording their album.
But, yeah. I'm interviewing Jay Robbins in a couple of
Oh,
weeks.
cool.
He's in Japan right now. Can you give me like something that'll some sort of an inside joke or some little piece of information that he wouldn't expect that I would know and I can mention and kind of freak
He
him out?
played an Aztec death whistle on our last album. We created a little ritual thing for part of one of the songs, and he was not expecting to be on our album, but he got really into it. It was awesome. What else would you say? Other inside jokes we'd have to, no, we can't share. That's secret.
Yeah, fair
Tell him
enough.
we say hi though. We love that guy.
I definitely will. And then I guess I'll close by asking, uh, do you have a timeline for your next full length? Are you just starting to brainstorm ideas, or is that just too far out of mind to work to think about right now? Like,
We have a couple of songs in progress. We just started working with a new drummer, so it's been an experience, kind of refocusing what we want our next sound to be. And he is a very, very aggressive metal-y drummer, so the sound is already a little bit even darker and weirder and more dissonant, than before. So that's cool. I think we're hoping to record next year.
cool. Are you at liberty to say the drummer's name, or would you rather keep that under wraps for now? Or
Not ready to share that yet, but
cool,
thank you for
totally fine.
asking.
Um, All right, well, let's see. I guess yeah, just got 4 minutes. So, any plugs you want to do? I know you got the shows throughout May, right?
Yeah, shows are we're going starting at Northwest Terror Fest in Seattle on May 7th and then going down the coast through Oregon and to San Diego and then back up. That's all with Drouth. We have some Midwest tour dates in progress for the summer, and then we'll be doing another tour with Drouth on the East Coast,
Wow,
sometime in the late fall or winter.
cool.
Um, and the split EP comes out on April 24th, and it's really, really awesome. So you should check it out.
Did you expect it to
Um,
be as great as it turned out?
I what would you say?
Yeah, I think so. I think that we,
That's a nice question. Thank
yeah,
you.
thank you. Um, I think we're proud of our progress with and the sounds that we made, and we're definitely proud of Breath's contributions to it. So
Yeah.
Awesome.
yeah.
Because that's, usually
Uh,
it seems like when bands do split EPs, they don't necessarily envision a tour happening afterward, and it's a testament to the strength of your material that you're doing that. So super cool.
Thank you.
Um, well, thank you. I've really enjoyed talking with you, and hope to talk with you again down the line, maybe when you're getting your next record ready or something like that. I'd love to see you. If you ever come through Boise, you got a place to stay. Um, and
Thank you.
yeah, absolutely. And thanks again for making the time. This I've really got learned. You guys have taught me quite a lot, and by extension, I imagine my the viewers, my audience will learn a lot too. So and it's also very inspiring too. So thank you.
Awesome. We appreciate
Thank
you.
you.
Thank you very much.
Absolutely. Okay.
All
Take care,
right.
guys.
Take care.
Bye.
Bye.